Thank you, Wodar. Hey, Gratifying Jeans. Hey, Wodar. Hey, Avik. Thank you guys for being here. I know this is outside of my normal live stream time, but I appreciate you guys being here, and I hope that you're having a great day. But hello, everyone. TLSG here, back again with another daily Marvel Snap live stream. Today we're going to be playing for the first time on our second free-to-play account, our Pool 1 account in the featured location Bar Sinister. And Bar Sinister is very, very impactful. It causes, anytime that it shows up, it will typically cause the entire course of the rest of the game to shift around that location. And so whether you like it or whether you don't, you have to respect that location because it has such a large impact on the game. And the Astros, how's it going? Artemis, Luck, and Ferdinand, thank you guys for being here. I hope that you guys are having a great day so far. So far, my day's been pretty decent. I did have to run into the office for a little bit. Our work VPN went down, and so to do actual work, I had to stop by the office. But otherwise, I've been enjoying this location. I've been enjoying just the crazy ride that our last couple of videos have been on. It looks like there is a large demand for Pool 1 content. And then just enjoying playing on this new account and just kind of re-experiencing it. Eric Chung, which deck have you had the most success with in Pool 1? A lot of people said Kazoo Onslaught. And then Sven, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. Schmut and William, thank you guys all for subscribing. Artemis Luck, thank you so much for joining as a channel member. That notification should go off here in just a second. But thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. As far as I don't like Onslaught in a Khazar Zoo deck. I think it disrupts your play potential. So the whole purpose of Khazar Zoo is to really be able to consistently flood the board with your cards. I think Onslaught in that makes it a little bit more difficult. So I posted a video about a Khazar Zoo deck that I was running. And I've used that one on both my free-to-play accounts. And then Artemis, did your notification go off for joining as a channel member? I've used the Khazar Zoo deck that I posted on both my new free-to-play accounts, and both have been absolutely phenomenal. And so I've really enjoyed that. If you haven't seen it, it's a couple of videos back, and I think that one should give you a little bit. Hopefully do a little bit better for you. American Primate, good afternoon. This build has been really helped you climb today. Yeah, I know that the comment section was really back and forth about this build, but I've been having a lot of success with it. Even against some of the ones that they're saying, so like the movement decks and things like that. The movement decks and things like that. I've been having quite a bit of success with it. And then Artemis Luck, you got the okay, so it's the highlighted message. I got you. And then Harry, it looks like you joined us as a team member as well. Thank you so much for the support. I don't think your notification went off either. And so if you resubbed Harry, I think that's what breaks it, is whenever it's like a continuation. But if it's a new sub, then I think that's when the notification goes off. I can trigger them manually here in just a second if you guys would like. So I think we kind of hold our Blue Marvel for now. I think we're eventually going to play Blue Marvel into Bar Sinister, and then we can drop Spectrum onto the board to buff up all of the Blue Marvels and buff up the rest of the board. You renewed, perfect. Okay, and so for some reason the notification doesn't go off for that. And then Astros, you said, is there any chance to turn slow mode off? Yeah, I'll turn it off here in just a second. And then if we end up needing it, I'll put it back on. Don't need to trigger really. Okay, perfect. So I think we're going to play our Lizard. We're going to go ahead and play with Elysium. I think we actually hold a little bit here. We can play our Lizard. I think we just hold and see what we draw into next. See what they play. We can play around what they play. I think eventually we do the Blue Marvel and Bar Sinister. That's going to be a huge location, and it's going to buff up the rest of our board. Tiandre, hey, is there any floors and ranks? So 40, 50, 60. So once you hit, so there's only two. There's 10 and rank 100. So once you hit those are your floors. You can't go below those, but any other time you can drop below it. To kind of give a little bit of a buffer, the developers give basically a free 10 cubes whenever you rank up. So from 10 to 20, you'll start at 21. So that's supposed to give you just a little bit of a buffer just in between. But yeah, you can continue to lose cubes overall. Jason Finnell, I went from 33 and 20 Oh, you went 33 and 20 yesterday with your Khazar Zoo build. That's pretty phenomenal. So what is that about? That's about 66. That's just under 66%, right? I've been having quite a bit of luck with the Khazar Zoo build as well. You might sub in Squirrel Girl. I know that there's a couple of like fine, depending on like preference, there's some changes that you can make, but overall I've had quite a bit of luck with it. And then Stefan, you just got Daredevil, and Bar Sinister is really good location. Only sucks when a random Mojo or Sunspot is placed there. Yeah. Bar Sinister, especially as you get deeper in the pools, can get really, really crazy really quickly. And so I played around on my my in collection account, and it gets really nutty really quickly with like debris and goblins and all kinds of stuff that gets flooded across the board. So I think we do an Ant-Man, and then we go ahead and do a Spectrum. I think it looks like they're probably running a Khazar Zoo, so they might drop a couple of 1-drops, or maybe they drop something large. But I think this is going to impact enough of the lane that we're comfortable snapping back. And then thank you so much for these subs, David, Martina, and Chris. Thank you so much for subbing. I appreciate you guys being here, and then I hope you guys enjoy your stay. I didn't notice this is not TLSG. Yeah, Harry, this is not TLSG. So let's go ahead and lock in this last turn play. And then Tiandre, there are tier cards in collection levels, correct? Or is it all random? So right now they call them pools. I think the developers have called them series at some point. But yeah, essentially it's just a grouping of cards that you can get within a certain range. And so pool 1 runs from collection level 0 through 212. Pool 2 is from like 212 through around 456, and then anything past that right now is pool 3. So it's just a grouping of cards. So the cards you get in between those levels are random, but by 212 you'll have all of pool 1. By 456 you'll have all of pool 2. And so we did get the win there. Let me go ahead and turn off slow mode, unless we just end up needing it. I think it was Astros. I think you're the one that requested it. So let me pop over into the settings really quickly so that we can adjust that. Because I don't think it's going to be unmanageable right now. All right, and so that should take slow mode off. We should be able to open the floodgates and let everyone post as needed or wanted. And then Tiandre, thanks for all the info. Cheers, got to go. But next time you'll be around, you'll probably yeah. The growth in the last couple of days since I started doing pool 1 stuff has been insane. It's been absolutely nuts. I started, I think it was just over 30 to 35 hours ago. I was 5,000, and now we're peaking on 6,000, which is nuts. I appreciate all of you guys that are new, and welcome to the channel. The biggest thank you from me. And then I did see somebody say, Luke, you said you just subbed. Great tips and advice. I have fun playing the Hulkbuster and Bar Sinister. Yeah, I did. I ran into a couple of Hulks in Bar Sinister, and the first time I saw it, took me by surprise. You can still win those games whenever you're going up against those. It's just a really funny interaction to see. And then Sammy Samurai King, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day. And then Jithan, can I use gold to buy credits? You're a new player. You're 116. So yeah, you can use gold to buy credits up to a certain point. So every day the shop refreshes, and you can use gold to buy either flat credits or refresh your daily missions, both of which will give you credits in return. That's what I did to advance my collection on my main account, so that I could advance it as quickly as possible. Hulkbuster, then Venom, then Arnold. Yeah, I've seen some really nutty things, Rando, with that interaction with the Venom and Hulkbuster interaction. It's absolutely insane. Some like 400 power lanes just from the Venom alone is absolutely nuts. And then Beast was pretty fun playing on the bar. Yeah, Pool 3 builds for this location were next level. You almost had to have something in place to kind of protect that lane from any goblins or anything. And then like a shift strategy to be able to drop your actual intended drop there. It was absolute. I played on it for a little bit on my main account, and it was absolutely insane. So I think we split our power here. We do have Iron Man that we're going to be able to drop for free as kind of a surprise last turn drop. Because of the peak, it made it a 0 cost card, which is going to be really, really strong. It's not something that they're going to be able to anticipate. And so it does look like they're running a Zoo style of deck again. I don't think we have problems matching up to it as long as we draw into our base cards. A lot of times we can outpace a Zoo deck. Sometimes if we don't draw into Spectrum, if we don't draw into our Blue Marvel, sometimes we lose a bit of power push or potential, but for the majority of the time we can usually hold our own against them. So let's go ahead and stack a couple more cards. I think we maybe push it into the Khazar lane, and we're going to push both Captain America and a Rock. The reason we're pushing the Rock is that Captain America will give it a 1 power bonus. Most likely it's not going to make an impact, but you never know. It could be the difference between losing or winning that lane, or I guess tying, losing that lane. And then Doctor, you said you loved this deck, played it a few times a day. Yeah, I've been playing this one off and on all day. And no matter how many times I play it, it continues to feel phenomenal. So if they do an onslaught here, we might be in a bit of trouble. Luckily, we blocked the Squirrel Girl from pushing her tokens to the left and right. But if they do have the onslaught, if they're running like that high roll version of this deck, it might be kind of difficult. Lars, hello from Germany. Hello from the US. I hope that you're having a great day. What time is it for you over in Germany? So whatever lane we play Iron Man in, we will win pretty heavily. What I'm worried about is winning that secondary lane. So like if they do an onslaught here, that's going to be an extra 7, 8, 9, 10 extra power, so it'll be 20. This is going to push us to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Actually, we would outpace them here if they do an onslaught. We would win the peak location by 1. But no, it looks like they push some of their Zoo cards, and so we'll see if we outpace the 1 drops that they're pushing. And then Daniel, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I hope that you're having a great day, and welcome to the team. In America, you said, what exactly does the terms Zoo and Tech mean? You're still learning a lot since I started playing. So Zoo essentially means... Ooh, we tied that far right lane and ended up winning Lemuria because of the Iron Man. So we got another 8 cube game. So far so good. But the term Zoo, it essentially means you're playing a lot of cards. It's high turnover. You're playing as many cards as you can onto the board. You're essentially wanting to fill up the majority or almost all of your card slots that are on the board. That way you can... They're lower power overall, but by pushing more, you can outpower or overwhelm your opponent. And then the term tech is it's like I think it stands for technical. It's a small change to the deck, so something to like counter something that you're seeing in the meta. So a lot of times tech cards are like a Cosmo. If you're seeing a lot of decks that run on reveal abilities, or an Enchantress if you're seeing a lot of ongoing. So teching those cards in and out depending on what you're seeing. And then you said Zoo comes from some Hearthstone. Yeah, I know that I played Hearthstone, and I guess aggro is what I was referring to as far as like playing a lot onto the board. But Zoo, yeah, Zoo, you're right. I've heard it in a couple of other ones. So I've heard it from both Magic and in Hearthstone. I honestly don't know where it originated. But I first experienced it from the Zoo Warlock. Yeah, running a bunch of like 1-cost cards and things like that. But yeah, I know Magic's been around quite a bit longer than Hearthstone, and so since I don't know for sure, I assume it's probably Magic. But so you said Zoo's been in a deck in Magic longer than Hearthstone's been in existence. So yeah, and yeah, it's one of those. Yeah, Zoo is an old Magic the Gathering term, and that's one of those formats and card games that I never actually got into. I always wanted to, but I just never had an avenue to play it. And so I've played Hearthstone, I played Legend of Runeterra, Yu-Gi-Oh, a lot of other card games. Just that Magic the Gathering was one that I didn't. And so, Jithan, you said you're Iron 32, still starting the game. Yes, you started the game yesterday. More to earn. Yeah, the early game is really a really fun part of time, a fun part of the game, because you're still unlocking new cards. You get to change your deck pretty frequently. And so it's something that's, I don't know, I had a lot of fun with the early game specifically for this game. So I hope that you're having that same amount of fun. Yeah, the expansion casino hit them with the leech, which is actually pretty good. We should probably snap off of it, because now all of the cards they had in hand won't have abilities, and so that makes a lot of their cards pretty useless. Or not necessarily useless, but a lot less impactful. So like Cable, instead of stealing a card, it doesn't do anything. Lizard actually gets some upside from it, but in general, it's a little bit less impactful. So I think we probably drop our Blue Marvel, and then we do a Spectrum. So if we did Spectrum, that's going to only impact Ant-Man here, and it'll impact it 4 times. It will impact most of this lane. But if we drop Blue Marvel and then Spectrum here, Spectrum will hit all of these cards, and this one. Plus, we get the Blue Marvel bonus. And so this one should be a pretty easy win, unless they maybe have an Enchantress. Even then, we might be able to outpace them. And then Harry, you said Wong-going is a Marvel Snap term. Wong-going is definitely a Marvel Snap term. It is very exclusive to Marvel Snap. Zoo in Magic the Gathering is usually strong power to cost ratio. Cards meant to overwhelm. Okay, and so it may not be the most accurate, but a lot of times in my head, I associate Zoo and aggro close to the same. Not necessarily like tempo, but the aggro piece. Usually those are the associations I make. And then Dad, no, it looks like you did join in on the stream. We're only about 15 minutes in, so you still have plenty of stream left. Plenty to go. You didn't miss it entirely. I had a delay due to work. I had to go in directly to work because of the VPN. We weren't able to connect remotely today, and so I had to go in for a little bit, and so lunch ran just a little bit long. So I think this is probably a bot match. The fact that they ran Spectrum and stayed in, even though their ongoing cards had all been leached, that one's probably a bot match. We'll take bot matches here and there to kind of help with the grind. But from what I've been seeing, most of the time we face against humans, which is really refreshing. Whenever the beta first came out, it was a lot of bots, especially early on, usually all the way up through sometimes rank 60. You'd see primarily bots, and then depending on the time of day, that would spike as well. And then Magic the Gathering always had such a crazy amount with buy-in. It's fun with friends though. Yeah, and the reason I never was able to get into it was I didn't have any a close group of friends that could play, and I didn't have a card shop nearby that held tournaments or did those formatted. Something that I always wanted to experience in real life was the draft format. Something where you go in, you pay $10, and then you kind of pass the boosters around. You take one card, you pass it on. I thought that was such a unique take on like a deck building, because then everybody's essentially on the same level. And so I've always wanted to try that and experience that at least once, even if I'm not really good at Magic the Gathering. I think it would be really fun to just experience, because of course you're going to be able to draft better if you have more game knowledge, but a lot of it can come down to luck and what you pull, and it's going to be different every time. So it's not like one person just has a distinct advantage because they have the best crafted deck as possible. Just sucks when one is huge bomb mythic, your opponent gets whenever they get something incredibly strong, it can ruin it could ruin the fun for the rest of them. You think Patriot or Spectrum ongoing is better for this location? It depends on what pool you're in. In pool 3, I think this location gets crazy. So I don't even know what a good deck would be. I know you want to run a lot of like counter pieces, and so something like debris, if you drop that into the location, it will actually flood the rest of the board, and so nobody else can drop anything after that point. But you also need to have counterplays to make sure that you don't get goblined, and so running something like a Nightcrawler to block off the location and then move it out later can be advantageous. It's just a lot of like mind games and counterplays that it seems like then if you don't draw into that location, you're at quite a bit of a disadvantage because you very heavily have to build your deck around it. And then Jordan, did they indicate how soon they will implement the token crafting system? I'm not sure if I should save my gold. So they said that it would be released in 2022. I don't know if that's maybe next month, closer to the end of the year. I think they wanted to give themselves a little bit of a cushion in case they run into any kind of bumps or anything, and they don't want to overcommit. From what I've seen, they're always they always err on the side of caution when it comes to like promising updates. And so they said 2022, and at that point they would start releasing new cards as well. Alexander, how's it going? I'm glad you were able to jump in and join us. Then PvP Logger, been playing this deck all day and I love it. But what is the reasoning for having Mr. Sinister? So Mr. Sinister is actually, in my opinion, a pretty interesting one. I like Mr. Sinister because he helps fill up the lane. So in Pool 1, we don't have access to a lot of really strong ongoing cards. So we pretty much have all of the ongoing cards that we possibly can that are below 3 cost in this deck. And so once you start getting into Pool 2 and Pool 3, you do get access to some more ongoing. But Mr. Sinister will help trigger Captain America. It will help us trigger our Ant-Man and just do have a little bit more impact on the board for a pretty decent low cost. And it synergizes well with a Blue Marvel. And so it's mainly to fill up extra space so that we can keep the tempo. And even if we draw into some of our high cost cards, we can still kind of compete at that point. So they did Enchantress this lane, but honestly, that's okay. We're going to be able to do our Spectrum anyways. That should push us up over here. If they have a Blue Marvel, they might be able to sneak this lane, but it seems weird that they would rely on a Blue Marvel with nothing really pushed in the other lanes. Sinister is good too. 2 costs, 4 power. Yeah, at the cost of 2 slots. So he's not great in all decks. And then thanks for all the subs that are coming in. Stan, Rusty, and Natha, thank you guys for subbing. But in this one, since we have a higher curve, we don't typically get to fill up our locations. He helps to be able to, 1, have a really good synergy with Blue Marvel, and then 2, help fill up those locations, which we need for Captain America and Ant-Man. And then you said, what is your favorite card? Tin Tornado. It kind of varies depending on what we're talking about. I think for and then Vagabundo, we are going for 6K subs. We are so very close. We may actually get there potentially this stream. We're at 5.98. We were about 20 away, which is insane. But my favorite card, depending on what we're looking at. So if it's in terms of like raw strength or board presence, I think Mr. Negative is a really interesting design choice, because then that impacts their developmental process and balancing process for every single card after that point. Because if they say, you know what, Mr. Sinister's too strong at 2 power, we need to roll him back to 1 for whatever reason, that makes him stronger in a Mr. Negative context. And it's really interesting to see how they have to kind of counterbalance those cards. And so in terms of like a unique effect, I like Mr. Negative. In terms of just like a flat, like I think really balanced card that just feels really solid, I really like Captain Marvel. Her ability is pretty unique. She can impact multiple lanes. She can only impact 1 lane at a time, but her presence impacts multiple lanes. And so I really like the way that she's designed. I think she's designed really well. I don't think she's overpowered or underpowered. I think she's kind of right in that middle ground. And so Boggy, so I also been using this deck all day, but I can't work out what's the purpose of Cosmo. Cosmo is he's an ongoing card, so he gets a buff from Spectrum. And if you're running into any kind of on reveal. So if you're running into an Odin deck, or which if they're running, you know, the White Tiger, and you can anticipate where they're going to drop Odin on that last turn, you can drop Cosmo and it counters that. But primarily, he's just a good ongoing card that will get buffed up from all of our other drops throughout the game. And then Herculano, thank you so much for subscribing. And then Ryan, thank you so much. And Cold Pinks, thank you so much for subscribing to the channel. I'm glad that you guys are here. I hope that you enjoy your stay. And I appreciate you guys being here. And so we can do a couple of things. We can either do Blue Marvel and Bar Sinister, and then Spectrum, which I think is probably what we lean to, because we only have 2 ongoing cards. And so that should outpower and outpace this otherwise. Q, you made it. If you end up queuing up against this Q, and you somehow leech us in pool 1, we know that's a true rivalry. And then, sorry, has removing a limbo always switch the turns back to 6? Yeah, so if the location goes away, then all of a sudden the game will end on 6. Similar to if you change TVA on turn 4, it won't end the game at that point. This works the same way. Did you make it? Did you make one? Did you make an alter account queue? If I run into not queue, I'm going to lose it. And yeah, the hair is back. I had a couple of emoji slots, and the way that YouTube works is whenever you hit a certain member milestone, you unlock additional emoji slots. As long as you have an emote in place, whenever it drops back down, you keep those emotes, and you can change them as you want to. But if you don't have them in place and you drop below it, then you lose that slot. And so I went ahead and threw a couple in there just kind of for good measure. While figuring out what we want to, you know, truly be there in the long run. But I think these are decent for now. What is your alt account? We'll see. Hopefully we can match up against each other, Q. That would be phenomenal. So they're going to be able to move Nightcrawlers out. Maybe they drop a Blue Marvel as well. I think with our Spectrum, we can outpace them here. I think we can also outpace them in the vault. So we're going to go ahead and let it play out. I don't think we should have much of an issue. Q, would you snap for 8 cubes so we recognize you? And so depending on what they drop here, it is the Blue Marvel. I think we still outpace, because I think, and I might be wrong. I think we outpace them on the left. Actually, no, that's 4-8, that's 16. They do outpower us on the left-hand side. So we are going to drop our first game of the day, and it's going to be for 8 cubes. It's one of those that if we stopped and did the math, we may have retreated at that point, knowing that we had the correct read on the Blue Marvel play, and they had the flexibility of the Nightcrawlers. Nightcrawler is a pretty good tech, and I really like the Nightcrawler into like 1 Blue Marvel into moving the rest of the Nightcrawlers out, and then filling that lane with Onslaught, pushing like 3,000 power into each of the lanes. I think that one's really unique. I don't think it's as consistent, which is what I try to go for when building our decks. I don't think it's as consistent as, you know, some of the other combos or synergies, but yeah, math is hard. Math is hard whenever you're multiplying it by 4 and you're chatting as well. Simon B, please post a pool 2 deck for this new zone, at least your best ideas. So I honestly think a Spectrum one would probably be about as impactful. So in pool 2, you still don't have to worry about in pool 2, you still don't have you don't have to worry about like debris or goblins, and so you can still get the power from Blue Marvel, from Spectrum. The only upside is that you have additional kind of flexibility in those low cost ongoing abilities, so that you can make your turns even more impactful and even stronger. So any suggestions for any pool 2 cards once you start into that pool of cards? So the best ones that I use in almost in a lot of builds, even into, you know, the in game. Harry, I'm here to distract you. Even into the in game is a Storm. Storm is huge at being able to kind of control the amount of space that the opponent has to play in. So that one's really strong. And then your Sunspot's really flexible. And so as you get out of like the Killmonger territory, eventually Killmonger is there, but he goes away a little bit. And so you can start more safely running some Killmonger 1-drop cards a little bit. But Sunspot's really flexible, and then Infinite with a Sunspot can create some really kind of crazy last turn plays that allow you to steal and swing some games in your favor. So we... I think we play Cosmo into Wakandan Embassy. Before dropping anything into Danger Room, I'm kind of holding out to see if maybe we draw into an armor. That way we don't have to risk those drops. And then outside of that, we will just kind of efficiently push our power depending on where they push theirs. And then Stan, you said, what's the best way to use gold? I haven't used any. So it depends on what your goals are, Stan. So if you're wanting to progress your collection as quickly as possible, then using those credits or using that gold on credits, whether that be buying flat credits from the store, which refreshes each day, or refreshing your daily missions, both give you the same amount of credit to gold ratio. And so if you're wanting to unlock, push your collection, unlock new cards quickly, that is the way to go. If you are okay going a little bit slower, then variants are always a really solid choice. But you get the same credit to gold ratio. If you're still actively playing, I'd say refresh your daily missions. You get a little bit of extra upside because you gain some season pass experience from those daily missions. And so that will help you get, even if you don't buy the pass, it'll help you get down below level 50 on that season pass. And those are all free after that point. And they're kind of like caches. They'll give you credits and gold and things like that. And so any tips on how and when to use Miles? So Miles is an interesting one. He's good with... I don't think he's good in a traditional full-on move style deck, which kind of seems counterintuitive to what you would think he would be good in. But for me, he's decent in some like later pool 3 kind of counter move style decks. So things that run like Polaris to pull the enemy's cards and kind of shift the enemy's cards where you want them, so they're less strategic for the opponent and more strategic for you. But as far as like a pool 1 deck with him, anything that runs like Nightcrawler and then maybe one other movement like piece would be pretty decent. So if you're running like an early build, if you have Iron Fist in there, then that's enough to trigger him. So I'd say maybe two move potential triggers would be good for Miles. And then the Sexy Medic, also depending on the reward for the season pass, buying the next tier with gold could be helpful as well. It could help you progress faster. So if you want it kind of more immediately, that could definitely help you out. So I'm trying to, math is hard. I'm trying to see if there's any way that we push enough power into this lane to win. So this would push 13, which would put us up to 19. This is going to be 21, 22, 23, 24, which is not going to be enough. I think this one ends up being a retreat. We don't have a good... Playing Spectrum or anything else in the Danger Room is going to be a gamble. They got lucky that Blue Marvel didn't get destroyed. At this point, I think we just retreat out of this one. Angela and Wolfsbane in this one, help them cap out that lane and make it really, really strong so that it'd be hard for us to come up over. Had we had our Iron Man out on the board instead of Blue Marvel, we may have had a chance, but we didn't draw into it. So so move is like an all-out move is in most scenarios kind of outpowered by other things, and it's less consistent. It's fun. It's one of the more fun archetypes, but it's just not as powerful as consistently as some of your other potential archetypes that you can build. And so the season free pass gives so few stuff compared to the paid ones, though. Yeah, and so Christy, what I was talking about was after level 50, everything at that point is free. And so those caches are similar to whenever you pull a regular cache. You can get gold from them, you can get credits, you can get variants, and so you can get a lot of really good things if you get down below 50. I've never And then Alvin, have you seen Nightcrawler Blue Marvel Onslaught on Bar Sinister combo? Alvin, I have. Whenever you see it, it is something that you have to absolutely respect. Whenever you see that setup happening, most of the time for me, it's a retreat. It's not as consistent, but whenever you're able to pull it off, it is absolutely phenomenal. It's something like 3,000 power in all of your lanes, which is insane to see. It is so much fun to play up against that. I thought about teching in an Enchantress at some point, but that breaks the consistency of my ongoing cards. But yeah, it's one of those things. I also saw a couple of like Odin triggers. So having like an Ironheart and then moving the rest of your Nightcrawlers out to have Odin trigger, like, I don't know. I think it's more than 3 times. I think it's closer to 6 or 9 times. So Ironheart would trigger that many times, which is, 1, it takes a while. But 2, it's also very fun to see. And then Jeremy, I think Angela's starting at 0 power or start at 2 and only +1 is a good fix. Yeah, I think right now she's very, very strong. Anything that runs a lot of cards, she is incredibly strong. But it runs the downside of letting the opponent know that you're going to be pushing your power there, so they can always pivot. But it's just one of those that until you have some of those counterplay potentials, it's really hard to go up against. And then Synth, would Rogue beat that? Rogue could beat it. You would still have to push the other lanes. So if you stole the Blue Marvel with Rogue, and then all they had was Onslaught, then it would just be like a 21, 24 power lane. And you would have all of the Blue Marvel bonuses, but then you would have to win the other 2. So it's possible. It's possible to beat. It's just a matter of like how you go about it and how you approach it. Any suggestions for pull 2 swaps for this deck? Yeah, so as you get more ongoing cards, I would say taking out the less impactful. And so for me, I would take out Mr. Sinister. He's great for filling up those locations, but that's mainly because our curve is really, really high. And so I would say taking out Mr. Sinister for something like Ebony Maw would be good. And then I think there's a couple of other really strong ongoing cards that you get in pool 2. I'm drawing a blank, but anything that's below 3 would be worth putting in. Maybe you take out one of your 5-cost cards. So if you pulled out maybe Iron Man or Blue Marvel you want to keep in for Bar Sinister. But Iron Man is a little bit less impactful. And so if you can get more cards more consistently, you might be able to find more upside that way. So I think we're gonna drop our Iron Man into Los Diablo space. It does feel like it would be better to do it into Muir Island. But when we drop Spectrum, we're only going to get 1 trigger for the Ant-Man here. And so I feel like we might need to push it into Muir, or I think we might need to push the extra power into Los Diablo space to be able to compete and hold up pace. Thank you, Champ. Thank you, Legal, and thank you, Terry. And I think I got Herculano earlier. Thank you guys for the subs. I hope that you guys are enjoying the content, and I appreciate you guys being here. And so the 22 power in this, oh my gosh, I dropped Cosmo. So we have to drop Spectrum out on the side, which does not feel great. So that's going to give a 2, 4, 6 power bonus here without being able to push our Spectrum there. That hurts our power potential, because if they can trigger their strong guy. We should have dropped Iron Man over here. We'll let it play out. I think this might be a bot. Maybe they make a bad play, but most likely we get outpowered in Muir Island, and then in Ruins is going to be an easy win for him as well. And then Alvin, you said Molt tried to use Enchantress to stop the combo, and it just broke the game. The game ends immediately, and all the cards counted at face value. Really? So I have had a couple of interactions where it like has too many triggers, and the game doesn't know how to process it, and it just kind of like freezes. Yeah, it has to be a bot. This has to be a bot. They played into the Iron Man lane. Akshay, did we hit 6,000? We were 20 away a second ago. Oh wow, we're at 5,999. We are so incredibly close. Yeah, we hit 5,000 less than, I think it was just over 2 days ago, or just over 1 day ago. But yeah, it has been incredibly quick. Skullboy, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. I hope that you enjoy your stay. So this had to be a bot. That's a very bot-like in-game play. If we thought this was a human, I would have retreated there, just because they had such an advantageous positioning versus what we had. There wouldn't be a win condition otherwise. Jay, the cube gambling is getting me. Still struggling with when to snap and when to retreat. Also, I don't math so good. So mathing and anticipating your opponent's potential play line is very big. So it really lets you know. That's how I can kind of assess whether it's safe for me to snap, or maybe if I want to retreat. Is knowing like what kind of deck the opponent's running and what their potential like last turn plays and power potential would be. And so without that, without that and without doing the maths, it definitely would be hard to kind of assess unless you just had a really strong one. Oh my gosh, we jumped from 5,999 to 6,011. Thank you guys for that support. That was an insane jump. And so we are at that 6,000 milestone. Every other time we have kind of climbed over 1,000. The craziness is incoming. So with the Nightcrawlers, they could have a really crazy setup, but every other time it's been a couple weeks on jumping about 1,000. This time it was around 2 days, which is nuts. Thank anyone that's new here. Thank you for all the support that you've given, and just for enjoying the content and enjoying the channel. I think 7.5 is our next like big one. It's just those multiplicatives of 2.5, but I think 7.5 is going to look nice, and then 10. I didn't think it was going to be on the horizon, but it very well could be. The Isle of Silence is tough. We still do get the Spectrum bonus for the Isle of Silence. It's just a little bit tougher because everything we drop here, we're not going to get any kind of benefit from. Are you preparing anything special for 10,000? With how quickly we're growing, I don't know. 6.1, let's go. Oh my god, we're not at 6.1, are we? No, we're at 6013. 6.1 is next, but at 10k I'd like to do either an extended live stream or something kind of fun. I don't know exactly what that is or what it looks like just yet, but I would like to do something. And Stan, you said you started the game yesterday. Your videos have been very helpful. I'm so glad to hear that, Stan. Is this the blue? No, it's Khazar. Which, I mean, with that, they could have Onslaught. I'm really glad to hear that the videos are helping. Because whenever I started, it was very hard to find that footing. As you're still getting used to, I think we retreat from this one. The Khazar play into moving more Nightcrawlers out into a potential Onslaught or Blue Marvel is kind of scary, and so let's go ahead and retreat out of this one. It's one of those that you have to weigh the chances. So is it worth risking them having that really strong play? And so if I was in their shoes and I knew that I had that combo, if I knew I had Khazar into Onslaught or Khazar into Blue Marvel, I would have snapped before playing it. That way you at least guarantee that you get 2 cubes out of your opponent. But once they drop that big turn play and then snap after, that's a pretty big signal to me to know that they probably do have what they're at least saying that they're having. So no, why did you retreat? Got to respect the play and give up the cubes for the stream. I can, but also since we're playing with kind of newer players, I think it's also important to kind of talk through when we actually retreat. And so for our pool 3 account, it's not as, I guess, unheard of to just kind of gamble those. We're at 100, we're already at that rank ceiling. We can kind of play around with the cubes a little bit more. But for anybody here, we have a lot of new people. I want to kind of help them figure out when to snap, when to retreat, and how to assess it. And then Rando, did you hear that your Zero the Hero deck got me into the mid 70s? No, I didn't. That's huge, Rando. I'm so glad that it helped. That Zero the Hero deck was, I know that it didn't show it on the stream, but it was incredibly strong. It was one of the better performing decks that I've had in quite a while. And then Jordan Troob, did I miss? Yes, Jordan Troop, I can see you. I'm so sorry. I saw a couple of messages come through from you. And then Boggy, congrats on 10K. Thank you. Jordan Troop, I do see you. I'm so sorry. I'm missing a few more than normal. We just have a little bit more activity. And so, yes, I do see your name. And I appreciate you being here. Are you still climbing pretty well? I know the first couple of days you were popping in and out, and you were advancing your collection pretty quickly and having a good time. Are you still having that much fun with it now that you're a little bit later? And then Christy, people should not snap so aggressively at low levels. Yeah, until you really feel out like the opponent's potential play lines and your potential play lines. I tend to agree. Whenever I play a new deck or archetype that I'm not really familiar with or comfortable with, like that power potential, I snap a lot more passively. It's nowhere near as aggressive as, whenever I know the power output very, very well. And then Jay, you second that stand. Started playing the Strong Guy Blade Zoo deck to get back on a slight winning climb. Yeah, the Zoo Strong Guy deck, and there are some kind of tweaks and refinements that you can make, but for the most part, that one feels really, really strong. I've been having a lot of fun with that one. So we've drawn into a lot of rocks. There's not a lot we can do when we get rocked this hard. There's no way to push enough power to beat their double Gamora. Just unfortunately, we didn't draw into any of our big plays. A double Iron Man could have given us a potential out. A double Blue Marvel, a double Spectrum. But with 3 rocks, it's one of those that you're going to draw into those sometimes with Subterranea, especially if they don't snap. You can play it out until that 5th or 6th turn, and then if you don't have a win condition, so that one there was no way we could compete with power. It's a pretty easy retreat at that point. You're at collection 538 already, Jordan. That's huge. So you're already cracking into pool 3, which is phenomenal. What pool 3 cards have you gotten so far? And then here comes all of those subs from earlier. We have Lowdown, we have Zero, Transparent, Tom, Steven, Exalted, Norman. Thank you guys all for the subs. The support is greatly appreciated. I am so glad to have you guys here, and I hope that you enjoyed the stream and the content. And so, Denzel, you said I'm trying this deck out earlier today, and it got me to the mid-90s. Denzel, that's huge. I've been having a lot of success with this deck. I know a lot of people kind of favored I can't say a lot of people. There were a lot of comments saying that, do this or this is better. I've tried some of those, and this one felt like it outpowered them the majority of the times. There are going to be those matchups where it doesn't go well. But it felt like the majority of the time we were able to kind of outpace and outpower those. And so we are going to go ahead and play a little bit more into Sinister London. It does take away from the impact from Bar Sinister. And so I think now we probably shift over into the Avengers compound. We might still drop a double Iron Man. Maybe we even drop a double Spectrum and just avoid Bar Sinister altogether. It just depends on where these last couple of cards kind of get placed once we drop them. Jordan, you've got the Wasp, Sandman, Ghost Rider, and Sarah. Sarah is huge out of those. Ghost Rider's kind of fun to play around with. Sandman can be strong. He's just on the games where he impacts it a lot. On the ones where he doesn't, and if you build your deck around having Sandman, sometimes it's hard to consistently continue to climb at that point. Exalted, if I upgrade cards and not claim the rewards, will I stay in pool 1? So if you upgrade cards and even before you claim it, as soon as you get to collection level 212, even if you don't pull the card, that will push you into it. So if you're wanting to stay in pool 1 for a little bit and just kind of experience experience pool 1. Oh my gosh, we have to play an Avengers compound. How many times do I have to try and fail? So we have 2. These are pretty decent. We can always drop an Iron Man maybe. So if you, what I would do, I would get right around 200, and if you're wanting to stay in pool 1, I would hoard my credits and just not upgrade the cards until I get around that cap, which is 5,000 credits. And so yeah, Sarah, Jordan, Sarah is huge. Sarah is a massive one. That is definitely a good pool. We can do Blue Marvel. I'm a little bit worried about Bar Sinister, and just kind of the lack of impact. Overcoming the power in this lane is going to be tough unless we did something like a Blue Marvel and then did maybe Iron Man. But even that, I don't think it's gonna get us. Oh my gosh, we didn't do anything. That's what you don't want to do. You don't want to get in your head too much. I tend to overthink my plays, trying to think of like the counter plays and figuring out the best way to do it. And I take a little bit longer than a lot of people when they're playing. And so that's not the way you want to do it. And then Luke, you said you keep fluctuating from level 32 to 33. And small fluctuations will happen. I think it's continuing to try to play with the level head, even whenever you're not gaining quickly. Whenever you try to push it a little bit faster than maybe what it's naturally going, is when I find that I tend to lose cubes. And then Javier, right? You said, is this your main account? No, this one is it's like a secondary account. I have an end of collection account, which is my primary one that I played through beta. This is one that I started so that I could create pool 1 content for all of the new players that are coming in, so that I could kind of help navigate those metas and those archetypes as well. So I can still build these on the in-game account, but we go up against so many different cards that are not going to be relevant to pool 1 players, which is kind of the reasoning that I started this one. So Stan, you said you're missing Cosmo and Armor. Can you still try to run this card? I wouldn't. So pool 1, we're already pretty limited on ongoing cards. And so I think if you're missing Cosmo and Armor, what I would do would be I would run a Khazar Zoo deck, but I would probably take out Chavez, put in Onslaught, and then look at those cheeky ways to play Nightcrawler into Bar Sinister, and then you can move one out. You can drop Blue Marvel on 5 so that it only has that one Blue Marvel. On turn 6, you can move the other 3 Nightcrawlers out, and then you can drop Onslaught there, and that's going to give 3 Onslaughts, which makes Blue Marvel trigger an insane amount of times, and it ends up pushing like 3,000 power into the lanes. So I think that one would be a really fun one and would be pretty strong even if you don't draw into Bar Sinister. So if I didn't have all of the card required, so all of the ongoing cards, that's what I would try. So addictive though, I've barely slept. I know exactly what you mean, Jay. I have been playing for about 4 or 5 months now. I can honestly say I don't think that has changed. I still continue to play just about as much as I did before, and it's honestly probably a problem. I get much less sleep now than before I started playing Marvel Snap, and it's just as fun. Like, there are times where it gets a little bit frustrating, but for the most part, in the most games, it is incredibly fun every single day. And then Sissio, hey, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. Jordan Larson, any recommendations on how not to get tilted when you're in pool 3 and get 3 boosters in a row from your collector's caches? And that one can be tricky because you start really feeling the fear of missing out on those other big cards. And so for me, I really wanted you gambled on just a little bit too much. At that point, I would say maybe take a step away. So they drop Professor X into the Gia. Do we think they have something that can outpower 24? So I guess if they have a Hulk here that's easily outpowers it, I don't think we gamble. I feel like this was a pretty decent play, but we were banking on being able to drop the Spectrum, and so without that, I think this one's a retreat. Wait, did it die? Did the stream die? that why we have the Fs in the chat? Are we still live? We're gonna retreat out of this one. No, it's okay now? For the most part, yes. Okay, strange. Wait one day and they will remove the hot location. Yeah, so if you're really frustrated by Bar Sinister, what I do is I complete my quest for that day and then I dip out. So 93 pack, why retreat? So I wasn't able to play anything on that final turn. And with Bar Sinister, there's so much potential for such a high power play. So all of our blue marvels were only 6 power. As long as they had something that was 7 power or more, so if they ran a Chavez, if they ran a Hulk, they were going to be able to easily outpace us in Bar Sinister. And so they had locked down the far left lane. We couldn't play anything there. And so they kind of put us into a strategic bind. We weren't able to play on that last turn, which really restricts any kind of additional power we can push. And so I felt like for the extra 3 cube gamble, it wasn't worth the risk of finding out. Had it just went down to 1 additional cube, I probably would have stayed. But with them snapping and it going from a risk of 1 to a risk of 3, at that point I think is where we cut our losses. Dom, my Discord went down, say the same time. I thought it was your phone. Maybe not, Dom. Maybe we're in the same area or have the same internet provider. If hopefully it doesn't continue to have spikes like that. The internet shows that it's fine, and so I'll keep an eye on it. I'll keep an eye on like the metrics and make sure that enough bits are coming through. But hopefully our internet's not messing up. This is the first time we've been able to stream for a few days, and so I want to make sure we can stream for the entire lunch if possible. Jordan, you actually went down 10 ranks. You're at 51 now. My discard deck was getting really hard countered. Yeah, discard decks they're always hit and miss. So they can be really, really strong, but at times they can also, if you don't draw into it just right, they can also be pretty tough to navigate too. So it's one of those that's unforgiving when you get a bad draw, and they pop off really hard whenever you get a good draw, but the bad ones do tend to kind of tank the deck quite a bit. So they have 12 power here. They can move their Nightcrawler. This looks like a pretty standard zoo. I think we continue in for just a little bit. Right now, we're not risking anything by staying in. I think we're going to need a decent amount of power into Los Diablos space. And so we can do the double Mr. Sinister. We can do Lizard. What we would be hoping for in that scenario is that we get something like an Iron Man. But maybe instead we do like a Cosmo and then an Ant-Man. That will allow us to drop something here next turn. Thank you everyone for all of the subs. So we have quite a few new ones coming in. We have, I don't know if I read this one, Jason S. We have Jacob, Dylan, Boris, and Covered. Thank you guys so much for the subs. I am so glad that you guys are here, and I hope that you enjoy the content and enjoy your stay. So I think we want to drop Blue Marvel here. I'm worried about this lane quite a bit. But then again, Spectrum here is just an incredibly low power push overall. So we can do Mr. Sinister here. The clone will get the bonus from Washington, D.C. Lizard here is going to go down to 2 power, but we know that with Spectrum, we'll be able to buff this up by 4 more. So I think that might be Joshua. Is it still really choppy? If so, then I might need to jump out of the stream and try and figure out what's going on with the connection. We're nearing right around an hour, anyways. Sorry, it's fine for you. And Joshua, I know that we dipped just a minute ago. So maybe refreshing could help it out. But that would just be a shot in the dark. So right now we're losing Los Diablos space. This one's going to be tough. This one is definitely a tough one. I'm going to stay in for the extra 2. I don't know that we have a great... Okay, so the Onslaught's really big. It's going to double the Ant-Man effect. It's going to double the Blue Marvel. Yeah, we're not gonna outpace or outpower that. Had we dropped our Spectrum here, though, we actually would have beaten them because of this low Ruins lane. Unfortunately, we stacked our power. Let's go ahead and we'll jump into the next one. Then Terry, you said just changing decks for a little while has helped me climb. Yeah, so whenever I find that I'm like getting hard countered by one particular deck, I like to switch it up. Sometimes just having a fresh perspective on it, it will kind of get me out of a funk. I sometimes get a little bit too ambitious about a deck if I'm feeling like, you know, I should have won that last game and I lost to like a really either bad beat or a lucky RNG flip, and sometimes I start playing more aggressively than I should, but switching decks allows me to kind of remain kind of far back from that deck, so I can really assess how it is and what it is at that point in time. Ryan, does the climb get easier towards the end of the season? Maybe the really skilled players hit infinite and duck out. Ryan, at least right now, it does seem like that. It seems like right now, towards the end of the season, it's a decent amount easier to climb on like the last couple of weeks, the last week, last 2 weeks. And I think the reason you gave is exactly right. So one, there's a ranked ceiling. So at 100, a lot of times those infinite players will start messing around with different decks and different combinations and give cubes a little bit more often than they would have if they were actively trying to climb. I think once we have an official like ranked ladder that goes all the way up to whoever has the highest rank, and I think there's a very specific number to continuing to push, I think we'll see a little bit of that kind of go away and drop off, and I think we'll have a pretty consistent climb all the way through the season. But at least right now, since there's no big point in pushing past rank 100 or trying to climb past that, people start having fun, and so then you start seeing just some easier matches overall. You got Spectrum Stan, you got Spectrum Chibi. It is a sign. It wants you to run the deck. So Ryan, you said, does the climb get easier? Oh wait, I already read that. Ryan, yeah, sorry. And then yeah, thank you, Harry, for the reminder. So Remark, Clariston, thank you both for these subs. I appreciate it. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, and I appreciate that you guys are here. American Primate, going on tilt feels bad. Mentioned in Discord that I dropped 4 or 5 levels because I was trying to make up for some bad luck in worst place. Yeah, and it's hard to realize that you're tilted like at that point in time. And so I always try to take a step back a little bit and try to really assess like where I'm at. And so even if I don't feel like I'm tilted, sometimes even just a slightly bit more aggressive play style will net you more cube losses overall. And so like overcommitting to a hand or refusing to retreat whenever you think you might be beat, but you're like, no, there's no way they have it. They're not gonna beat me in this scenario. Can really mess you up quite a bit. And so the Professor X is actually decent for us. That locks them into whatever they have here. We're gonna have the Spectrum that buffs up all 3 of these, and it's gonna buff up these 2. So I think we have a pretty easy lockdown here. This one should be an easy 4 cubes. Then Cincy, good cards for new location are Nightcrawler, Blue Marvel, and Onslaught. Yep, that is a really strong combo. If we switched over to a zoo style deck and kind of augmented what we were running before today, so that zoo style deck. Are we out? We're out, aren't we? Are we back again? Does the space at the bottom right corner bothers you? Are we back again? We back. Okay, we'll do a couple more. But it seems like we're having some connection issues. We'll finish out and just do a little bit more chatting, a little bit more kind of grinding and climbing. But for whatever reason, my network is going in and out. Thanks a bunch for the helpful reply. I'm keeping the faith that I'll get that beautiful card back to infinite, card back at infinite. If you keep kind of pushing, I would say stay in pool 1 if you're just starting, because once you creep into pool 2, you're going to match against people that have all of their pool 2 cards. And so I would say if you're trying to push for infinite and you're still early on, stay at pool 1 for a little while. So stop around round rank collection level 200, 210 before you get to that pool 2 ranking. That way you can really strategically push with what you have and try to push for infinite before the end of the season. But if you keep trying, I think you will absolutely get there. Randy, I was watching another Marvel Snap streamer yesterday, and they had the same internet issues. So was it on YouTube as well, Randy? I know some days YouTube is just awful. Sometimes the connection with YouTube, just for whatever reason, just dips. And so maybe it's that. Maybe it's my connection. I'll check out the graph and the feed after the stream ends, but I'm hoping that it's not mine. And then Hazwanth, you said love your videos, finally got to join the live stream. I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us. Are you enjoying the pool 1 content, or have you been watching for a little while? And so I'm always curious because we've had a lot of growth in the last day or so, or in the last 2 days. We have had an insane amount of growth, and so I'm always curious, which video I guess you found us on. Snap these providers, no kidding, Harry. And then X Futuristic, is this ongoing tempo? So this is with pool 1. It's ongoing with a hint of, I guess our tempo card is Mr. Sinister, so that we can kind of keep that curve and continue to push cards out onto the board. Because what we need with this deck is to be able to fill slots and fill locations. And with the limited ongoing cards you have in pool 1, a lot of times you just can't quite get there. You can't quite get that reach. And so this kind of helps us do that. So Daniel Turner, is there a downside of staying into pool 1 besides not getting new cards? Daniel Turner, right now there's not. Right now, you get the same rank rewards over the course of the season, over the course of the game, and so staying in pool 1 doesn't harm you at all. Hey, can you do 2 billion power on Bar Sinister? I can run a game real quick. After this one, I'll switch over and see if we can make that happen before we have to go back to work mode. But yeah, that's one of the combo pieces that I've been enjoying seeing with this new location. So the Cosmo in Mojo World, we were planning on doing like a Mr. Sinister and an armor there to finish capping out the Mojo World location. But with Cosmo there, it puts a hamper on it. So then even if we pivot to doing something like an Iron Man here, that makes this lane pretty weak. I think what we do at this point is either drop our Blue Marvel or drop our Iron Man. And I think we drop our Iron Man over here. And then we see what they drop. We'll be able to see if maybe we can outpower in the right lane. We're going to have to give up Mojo World. There's just no way we can cap that out. And so they're going to win that one by 100, kind of almost regardless. Sammy, you said you've been on a horrific losing streak from rank 20 back to rank 50. Oh no. You don't know why this is happening. It may be that you're trying too hard to push. Sometimes whenever I'm like really focused on like gaining cubes or losing cubes, it makes me play much more aggressively or riskier than I would have otherwise. And then maybe it's the deck that you're playing. Or maybe it's just the point in the meta. Maybe you need to take a kind of a day breather. Sometimes that helps me out as well. I think we're gonna risk this one. We're gonna run Spectrum. We have a decent power push here. They could pretty easily stack power here. I don't know. We're gonna risk it. I think we end up losing 4 cubes here just because we don't have our great setup. The Cosmo in Mojo World really restricted us from being able to fill that location like we intended or wanted to. But I think we try it out anyways. And then at Sissio Sweep. Oh, is this you? I forgot Sissio was here, Harry. And then Hazwanth, I started the game very recently, and your videos helped me a lot to understand the game mechanics, and I'm in pool 1 currently at collection 152. So you're absolutely you're getting incredibly close. And so yeah, the Devil Dino, we're not able to overcome that power. Let's switch over into for a couple of games. Let's run the. I'm gonna augment our zoo deck list. So let's. Okay, so I'm gonna augment our zoo deck list a little bit. So with this location, I don't think we run Strong Guy. We definitely run Nightcrawler. We want to add in. We want to add in Sissio. Yeah, that was you on your snap on turn 1. Sissio. That was a good game. I'm glad that if we lost, it was to you. So we're gonna run Onslaught. We have Blue Marvel, Khazar, a bunch of 1-drop cards. And we are going for the Khazar cheese. And so even if not, if we don't draw into Bar Sinister, that is okay. This deck is still going to perform decently, just not quite as well as like the Strong Guy version. But the potential of the Onslaught, at least for this feature location, is huge. So let me go grab a quick screenshot of this one so I can have the deck list on the screen. And then what I'm gonna have to do is I'll take off the card abilities because I don't have them all snipped right now. And so we'll just add the chat. We'll just add the chat there for while we're running this deck. At least for now. Okay, and so we will put our updated list here. And then we can put the YouTube chat. Oh, wait. So we'll use this one. And then I'll adjust this one, and then we'll be good to go ahead and jump in. I'm gonna go ahead and jump in while I'm adjusting that one. That way we can get the loading screen out of the way. We can get all of those pieces out. And so Sissio, now it's definitely a hi YouTube moment. You're definitely going to be able to say hi to YouTube with the chat sitting on the screen. And so we'll adjust this for now, just as a way to have that placeholder. $93 pack layout is too good. The Nightcrawler cheese. Oh yeah, the Nightcrawler cheese is insane. Oh wait, I didn't change the decks. Oh my gosh. Oh man, and having it first was going to be huge. I'm Theo. Hello there. Been watching your content. It's been very helpful. Highly appreciated. I'm so glad that you're enjoying it. I've been having a lot of fun kind of going back and kind of revisiting the pool 1. And so I'm glad that you're enjoying it. I'm glad that you're getting use from it, and that there's value. I hope that it's helped you either start the game or be able to climb a little bit earlier and a little bit easier. And so I'm glad that you're here. I'm glad that you've found the channel and that you're enjoying it. So next game we'll switch over to the zoo deck next game. We'll see if we can get the 2 billion power. I'm Theo. So we do have a Discord. So the Discord should be listed above, but I think I can actually copy and oh no, that came out really awful. So if you've been here for just a second, the Discord should be linked just above. But we do have one. And so there's a lot of helpful people there that will either, if you have questions about like a deck advice or a particular deck build, and just overall, it's a really positive community. And so I think you'll really enjoy it. So I think we drop Lizard. We can do a Mr. Sinister. We're not able to push anything. Hey bro, you need to try Hulkbuster on Bar Sinister. It is 16 power. The first time I saw that, I was very surprised. It's a very funny interaction to see. But I think I don't know. Oh, are we lagging again? It looks like we're lagging again. It's a really fun interaction. I think the Bar Sinister location is not always the one that is the hardest to win. I think it becomes making sure you win one of the other two. And so although it's a really fun interaction to see, I haven't gotten as much upside out of it. Are you dropping packets? Yeah, so it says that we just now dropped a few a few packets, but then we bounced back, and so I'm not sure what's causing the spike. It's probably on my end, and so I'll check with the internet provider and see what's going on after the stream ends. Hulkbuster over Sinister in Onslaught deck. We could do Hulkbuster instead of Mr. Sinister in the Onslaught deck. So here we could do Blue Marvel. That's going to help impact all of the squirrels across the board instead of just the one ongoing card here and then the 3 here. And so they probably have a Blue Marvel as well. But we have the lead. We have the lead here. They have the lead here. So unless we do something bigger than what they do, then we're going to end up losing. Anticipating the... Although they have quite a few ongoing cards as well. They don't have a lot of one-cost cards. But they have the Khazar. Should we gamble the Blue Marvel or the Spectrum? Blue Marvel is a little bit safer for squirrels, but then if they drop a Blue Marvel, we lose in the counter in the counter push because we're currently losing. So we'd push the exact same amount of power onto the board. I think we lose this one. I think we lose this one, but we're gonna go with Blue Marvel just to see it and let it play out, and see what they drop. Oh, an Iron. Okay, an Iron Man is big. We might be able to overcome their power, so it's 4, 8, 12. It's an extra 12 power in the big house. I think we overcome their power. They win Bar Sinister. We should win Central Park and the big house location. So kind of a surprising last turn drop for them because that only impacts Bar Sinister instead of impacting all of the lanes. What are your favorite variants, Gomdi? So my favorite variant, I have I think it's a Chibi Electro, and it is by far my favorite variant. It's I don't know, it looks incredibly clean, very satisfying, and I think there's a lot of variants, especially some of the newer ones that they're releasing. That have a lot of potential. And so you guys said try Hulkbuster instead of Mr. Sinister here. So we'll do that. We'll try Hulkbuster instead of Mr. Sinister, and then we'll update the deck. We'll actually make sure that we switch it this time so that we're not going to run the ongoing deck again. Although the ongoing deck has done this pretty decently. I think it's tried to try out the cheese for just a little while. That squirrel was massive. The squirrel was definitely strong. He held down that whole lane for him. Okay, so we've updated it to the Hulkbuster list, and so now with Elysium with a Zoo style deck, what I like to do is kind of skip for the first couple of turns. We know that we're going to be able to drop a lot of power onto the board on that final turn, so there's really no need to hold it for now. You got the Season Pass Thor in black and white. That's huge, Rando. I still haven't gotten any black and whites on my main account. I haven't really focused on splitting cards, though. It's so sick the rain is in black and white. That sounds like it'd be really cool. Variants, Nightcrawler, Exodus, and Black Marvel. Xeno, Black Marvel? Stan, do you always lose when you tie? So... Stan, are you saying whenever you tie one location? If so, if you tie one location, it comes down to a tiebreaker. So if you tie one location, that means you won one, the opponent won one. Whoever won their lane by more. And so if they had, if you won your lane by 5 and they won theirs by 10, that tiebreaker would go to them. Oh yeah, Sissio, always Korg on turn 1. You're right. Korg would have been the play, especially knowing that they have. Because it's going to disrupt their potential draw line. You're absolutely right. I think now we go ahead and play it. We should have played it earlier, even though we were kind of holding our cards and waiting for that last turn strategic drop. Having the disruption earlier would have been better. And so that's an absolutely great call out. So what if you drop Hulkbuster into Bar Sinister? Will they keep cloning? So just the 4, and I think Q answered it. It'll just do the 4, and so it stops at a 16 power Hulkbuster, which is still insane for a 3-cost drop. go ahead and drop our Khazar onto the board. All of the rest of our cards are pretty cheap. We know that in this list we have really low to the ground cards. So next turn we probably drop our Hulkbuster, but maybe not much else. And then we kind of go from there. Has anyone tied while retreating end of turn? It hasn't happened to you yet. So while retreating. So if you retreat, then it should push the loss onto you typically. I think we're going to Hulkbuster into the Angela lane. That will buff our Angela up further, and it merges so we have the same slots open. We probably pivot away from Atlantis and just flood a lot of cards into Washington, D.C. on the final turn, just because this is such a strong power push. And so they drop Onslaught into Washington, D.C. That's kind of scary that they have that already. Yeah, Hulkbuster makes it one more slot for the Angela buff, and it buffs her up. So I do like pushing it over there. And then now we have the Onslaught. We don't have a lot of our 1-cost cards, though. I don't think this ever wins this lane. So they could do a blue Marvel here, which would be really big. I think with what we drew into, our turn is kind of lackluster. So we can cap out this location. If they play here, we're going to lose regardless, but we're going to go ahead and play our rocket, and then see. I think this is probably a loss, but maybe they get greedy and they push too much power into Washington, D.C. Maybe they push it into Elysium. The Spectrum bonus. We're not going to be able to beat them in the Atlantis lane, unfortunately. The Onslaught into the Ant-Man made Washington, D.C. pretty large, and so this one's gonna be a loss as well. It's one of the reasons I don't necessarily care for the Onslaught version of the Zoo, although their push was really big. I think regardless, it was a really big power push. I think it's just a little bit less for a big turn play. And had we shifted those over into the Washington, D.C. lane, I think we might have been able to stand a chance. We could have dropped Onslaught, Ant-Man, we could have done Rocket in a Blade or a Nightcrawler here, and I think we might have pushed more than enough power here, but it would have been really close. When is Bar Sinister ending? The Bar Sinister ends 2 days, so it lasts 48 hours, so we're still about, what, 30 something hours away, so we still have a little while. If it's frustrating you, I would say play for your daily missions and then take a step away. That's what I do whenever it's like a featured location that I just really can't stand or really feels unfun. I usually will play for my missions and then step away. So 93k hot locations are 1 day. So the ones that appear on, it's Sunday for me, those run for 1 day. But featured, since it's a new location entirely, so this is a new location to the game that hasn't been there before, they run those for 2 days. And sometimes if it's a decent location, it doesn't feel bad. So last week, whenever it was the Daily Bugle, it didn't feel terrible to have that one for 2 days. But a few of the ones before that felt pretty bad. So the Peak was one that was really rough to run for 2 days straight. Subterranea as a featured location would be a big yikes. I don't think anyone would enjoy that. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that they just particularly enjoy the Subterranea location, and so yeah, I don't think they would. I don't think that would go over that well. Will they run Ego? So they ran. It wasn't Ego, but they ran something like Weird World, which forces you to switch cards or hands with your opponent. Or maybe it was Mindscape. You switched on turn 6, and that one got a lot of like negativity around it, and so I think they've kind of pivoted away from doing those. But the Ego hot location, I don't think a hot location would be good. I think maybe a light, fun game mode that you can choose if you want Ego to run your deck. So then it'd be Ego matches. I think that could be fun. I think if you were just kind of forced into it, it would feel pretty bad. So with Bar Sinister, with what we have, we don't have our Khazar, we don't have Blue Marvel, we didn't draw into our Nightcrawler. So 3 of the cards we need to really enable this Bar Sinister cheese, we didn't have. Let's go ahead and run the silly Hulkbuster interaction. This one's fun to see. It does make for a 16 power Bar Sinister lane, and then if we draw into something like Blue Marvel, we can push to win for the win in these 2. Worldship matches would be something else as well. Speak for yourself. I had a blast with the peak. I enjoyed the peak for the first day. After that, it did feel like it pushed us into a very narrow path where we had to run those negative cards, or else we just were at a disadvantage. Terry, I hate the zones that take my deck away. Yeah, so and those that you can't necessarily choose to play around are kind of tough. With Mindscape, I kind of enjoyed it because we were able to, I was able to push a little bit of an aggro deck with a little bit of a discard element, so that by the end of turn 5, I had no cards in hand to give to the opponent. So it was always kind of fun to give them nothing in return. And so now we get the Nightcrawler, which is not what we need at this point. We can drop Onslaught, but it comes down to, do we think they can outpower us here, which with +5 power to any 1 cost that they drop, I think they do. If they weren't a bot. I think they're probably a bot. I don't know. That's very a non-bot-like play to do the Khazar into the Blue Marvel. They definitely have the upside on us. We're gonna see this one play out. I don't want to keep retreating. So they have the Mr. Sinister, which is a really large Mr. Sinister, and then the Captain America, which is a really large Captain America. So we are not going to be able to overcome the power in the peak. Moon Girl, Bar Sinister into Devil Dinos. Oh, all Devil Dinos in Bar Sinister? Yeah, so the issue I find with like a Devil Dino deck into Bar Sinister is that it should easily win the Bar Sinister lane, but then it still leaves it leaves a void in the other lanes. You have to stand missions time. Yeah, I like the idea of this, but whenever I ran it before, it never felt super consistent. Because then you're really relying on drawing into a couple of key pieces rather than being able to kind of play any piece no matter when you draw it. I think we'll try it a few more times and see how it goes. Maybe we can get... I really want to see it at least once. It's really hard to pull off, but whenever you do pull it off, it's very satisfying. So now we would need the Nightcrawler in our hand. Khazar is not a bad one to have. We can drop Khazar into there as like our only resource, or if we draw into Nightcrawler now, we can do Nightcrawler into Khazar into Onslaught, which is also a really big power push. The funniest one I've seen is Ebony Maw turn 1, any 2-cost on turn, any 2-cost card, and then the Debris. Yeah, so Chauncey, pool 3 with this location is absolutely wild. Between the goblins, the counterplays, things like that, I really like the Debris drop into Bar Sinister to like completely block your opponent from doing anything else the rest of the game. We can do the Hulkbuster interaction with Bar Sinister, but I think that pulls away some of our power potential from the Khazar. We're gonna do it anyways. Just because it's a cool interaction to see, and it's a 16 power 3-cost play, but then it really focuses on the Bar Sinister location. And then Jeremy, you said can only play 1 more card if doing the Nightcrawler combo. What we can? No, the Nightcrawler combo, you can do Nightcrawler. You can move 1 Nightcrawler out, and then you drop your Khazar, your Blue Marvel, and then Nightcrawler is still in that lane, taking up the rest of the spaces. On that following turn, you move all of the rest of your Nightcrawlers out to drop your Onslaught and duplicate him. So it works pretty well whenever it does work. Can only have 4 cards on the field. In Bar Sinister, yes. I'm not sure that I'm following what you're asking. And then what is your highest rank on this game? So on my main account, we've hit, I think, rank 130. But after rank 100, I start playing fun decks. And I really stopped trying to grind for the ranks. And so 130 just kind of happened one of the seasons. Most of the time I hover around 120, so that I stay within human match area. I don't want to go against a whole bunch of bots, which you kind of find whenever you're pushing to rank 200, 300. If for some reason you continue grinding, you start eventually going against primarily bots, which isn't as fun. So I need the room to move the Nightcrawlers too. Gotcha. And so having that extra space. I got you now, Jeremy. So we are going to go ahead and drop our Khazar. Actually, that may have been a turn hasty. We have one more turn. We could have dropped both Khazar and Nightcrawler next turn. That may have been a little bit hasty, but that's okay. Saw someone drop Deathlock into the bar and then immediately quit. It's a choice. It's a strange choice that they made, but it was definitely a choice. I think we're gonna get rid of our onslaught here. We're not gonna be able to. Well, 7 power may be make or break for us. In our deck, we still have our Blue Marvel, and then other than that, we have 1 cost cards. Maybe we hold it. We don't have Strong Guide. We don't necessarily need an empty hand. It feels bad. It feels bad dropping Onslaught without having something to really elevate. So they're always going to be able to potentially move their Nightcrawler out. They can drop a Blue Marvel here. They have a lot of ways to kind of outmaneuver us and win here. I would like for this combo to work more consistently, but I haven't found or had great success with it. I think it's a fun one to see, especially in pool 1. And maybe there's some more refinements I can make to try to make it a little bit more consistent. But maybe I do some tweaking and brewing after the stream to see if I can maybe refine it. Shadow, you said I had a cool game today where I had 1 Ironheart on Bar Sinister and then played an Odin later, and he got so many stats. I actually ran up against somebody that did that. The Spectrum bonuses I had that game happened to outpower it, but it was very it was very fun to see because he triggered like something like 9 times to re-trigger Ironheart all across the board, and it was very fun to see. It is one of those very fun combos. I like Bar Sinister because it creates really crazy plays and crazy interactions that you don't see in a normal game. And so, like the Hulkbuster turning into a 16 power Hulkbuster, you don't see that in any other match. And so it's one of those that it creates a lot of strange interactions that are fun to kind of find and kind of develop around as you discover them. Play pool 3 Bar Sinister next stream. Bar 3 Sinister is next level. I'm telling you, it is insane. With all of the craziness that comes from it. It's absolutely nuts. So we're gonna hold Nightcrawler. We actually have a couple of pieces of our combo. Maybe we can get the high side. So we have Nightcrawler, we have Khazar, and we're gonna be able to play both those into Bar Sinister. That's gonna be the far right lane. To hopefully be able to hold down, and hopefully we can pull off that interaction. That'd be really satisfying to at least get it once this stream. That's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for at least once. I mean, if we end up going Khazar, even a 1 power Hawkeye, even if we don't do a follow-up play to buff him up further, even a 1 power Hawkeye is going to become something like 32 power. So I think we just drop him in the left lane, whether we play a card there next turn or not. I think just kind of splitting our power a little bit is going to be incredibly worthwhile. If we can get Blue Marvel instead, that's going to be more ideal. But if not, Khazar is a decent replacement because then we can still do like Blade and we can do some of those other plays along with it. So we could do the Hulkbuster interaction into the Nightcrawler. But I think we just go straight for the Nightcrawler, have that on the board. That way we know that it's there and that we can set up the rest of kind of this in-game combo style of strategy. Jeremy, I can almost never put together a 3-card combo, or if I do get combo, I don't get the location. Yeah, 3-card combo. When building a deck, 3-card combos are usually really, really strong when you pull them off. But whenever you don't, it usually usually falls pretty flat. And so, yeah, I agree. Using very specific combo pieces where you are relying on being able to pull off that combo, it always feels challenging to do consistently. And whenever I build my decks, I like to have them or make them as consistent as possible if I can. And so, Hamcat, you said, do you play on computer or do you still play on BlueStacks? I switched over to Steam. And so Steam so far has felt really strong. I don't like that if I accidentally resize this window, I can't fix it until after the game. So then it just looks bad on the recording or on the stream, and there's just nothing I can do about it until the very end. But otherwise I've been happy with it. Tracy, you said, hi TLSG, love your videos. Are you going to do any collab content with other creators? Tracy, I would like to at some point. It's a little bit tricky. So I have the daily content that we're pushing out, and then I have the full-time job as well. And so it's been kind of difficult to find time that works for my schedule, time that works for other schedule, and then on top of that, just without being able to do something like friendly mode, you have to get really creative in how you set that up, and there's not always a dedicated like market for it, I guess. I almost want to move two Nightcrawlers over. The opponent doing the big brain Nova Carnage. It was a big brain Nova Carnage. He was able to pop 3 of them, which pushed these cards pretty high. The Carnage lane is pretty good. I think we move 2 of the Nightcrawlers over. We do 2 Khazars. That way, if we don't draw into Blue Marvel or Onslaught, then we're okay. So I think we go for 2 Khazars instead of just 1. I think it's a little bit safer. If we had Onslaught in hand, yeah, we would absolutely lean into that piece of it. But since we don't, I think we kind of min-max it. We kind of reduce the max upside, but lower the maximum min or small side as well. Why the Blade card? Omar, we quickly tweaked our Zoo deck list. So since this is a Khazar deck, he's a strong 1-cost card that we can usually drop on turn 1. So if we get a Blue Marvel, then we can drop him on the final turn to generate quite a bit of upside. Otherwise he's in there for a strong guy deck. But as a 1-cost, he has a lot of power compared to the other 1-costs in the deck. And since it's a Khazar Zoo, we lean into that for right now. I've only played on Steam, but my only complaint is that the layout has a lot of dead space. Yeah, it has a whole lot of dead space on the side shadow, which I know is something that they're fixing. Oh, we already snapped. But it's something that they're fixing. They're going to release the wide screen mode at some point. This is just an early access of Steam, so that for launch they had as much accessibility as possible. Sammy, I thought the same thing. I've already snapped. I don't remember when I snapped, but I did. Thank you so much, Logan Looper and Steps On and Brian and Griffey and Mr. Waffles and Dama and Matthias. I think that catches us up. Thank you all so much for the subs. Your support is phenomenal. I appreciate each of you guys for being here, and I hope that you enjoy the content. And oh my gosh, that 83 power, 83 power left lane is insane. We outpowered the Iron Man and Wakandan Embassy with just 1-cost cards. So our 1-cost Hawkeye became 17. Our little Nightcrawlers became 20. Insane. Had we had one more Onslaught, it would have been even crazier. Let's see if we can get the full high roll before ending the stream. I want to give it a couple more shots here. Oh my gosh, the high roll potential of this deck, I think, is what makes it fun and viable. I don't know that this is as consistent of a climber, but when it works really well. And so let's see if we can get the insane high rolls. Yeah, numbers finally. Yeah, it took us a couple of times to get there, but we finally got some numbers. Matthias, good content, bro. Came here looking for some YouTubers that play this wonderful game and found you. I'm so glad that you stumbled upon the channel and that you're enjoying the content. I hope that you find it helpful. And I'm still looking and trying to improve with each video. And so Molt said his friend got like 2 billion power. Yeah, so there's a few ways. So if at least outside of this location, if you play an Onslaught with a Mystique, which copies the Onslaught ability into Onslaught Citadel, that's essentially four Onslaughts. And so then you drop like Omega Red or something massive, and it just does it breaks the game. It does some insane like power potentials, and it can, it's really funny whenever you see it. The first time I saw like 3,000, I had no idea what was going on. But the ceiling is insane. If you can set it up just the right way, it's really satisfying to see. It's really fun to see. You're 5-0 with your Spectrum deck from the new video. And I think Recanted, thank you so much for subscribing to the YouTube channel. I'm so glad to have you here. I hope that you're having a great day, and I hope that you enjoy the content. So the Spectrum list from the video, that one to me feels like one of the more consistent power pushes, because it has so many avenues to push that additional power, whether it be Blue Marvel, whether it be your Spectrum, sometimes even like an Iron Man in the lane, can be enough to swing that location in your favor. And then you can always do your Blue Marvel into Bar Sinister and then do a Spectrum to push that as well. So yeah, I think that one's incredibly consistent. There are some higher rolls, but the versatility and consistency is what especially in pool 1, is what I try to push and present to you guys. Just because that's most of what I would be looking for as a pool 1 player, is being able to climb, so I can get those, card backs, those cosmetics, those extra credits. And so that's what I tried to kind of bring to you guys. But I think we're going to do the Hulkbuster in the Bar Sinister. That's going to merge with the Squirrel. He's going to be a massive Squirrel. I think it's 13 power Squirrel. And it doesn't take up any additional slots. If we end up dropping our Khazar, which we probably will, we'll probably drop Khazar in the Baxter building. Oh, no, that's not great. Oh, no. That's not how that is not how I intended that interaction to go. We now have four squirrels. Not much else. We have the massive squirrel army. At least oh no. Oh my. We're gonna stew in what just happened. We're just gonna have to live with it. We are gonna drop Khazar. We have Blue Marvel. We can buff them up a bit. It's unfortunate. Is it a bug? I don't know. I thought that. So I know that the way on reveal I know that the way Hulkbuster's on reveal works, he merges and then any additional like location or any additional effects occur after that. And so that's why you can use an Iron Fist. You can use Hulkbuster to merge with something like a multiple man, and it will actually push in that same turn. I should have, and so it looks like he merged, and then that is what counted, and it's rather unfortunate. So they did move their Nightcrawler over. We have a shot at winning the Baxter Building location, actually, and so let's go ahead and play Blue Marvel here, and we'll hope. Actually, we could play Blue Marvel here, and then if we get Onslaught, yeah, that was intended by the code. It's the way it works. It's just a little bit more obscure than some of the other like play lines, but that is kind of how it's intended to work. So Laser Gazer, why the crazy low curve? The crazy low curve with this deck. This one is primarily not an Onslaught deck, but it's a Zoo deck, so we're wanting to aggro and flood the board with as many cards as we can. If we don't draw into Bar Sinister, we can typically still play our entire hand out. We can then buff it up with Blue Marvel, with Khazar, to generate that upside from that point. And so that's why we have the crazy low curve. So the Iron Man here, I'm curious what they're going to drop in Bar Sinister. We're going to lose this lane. I think we see it out. We made the bed. We might as well lie in it. See if they're able to outpower us by 29 in Bar Sinister. They probably can. They probably have like a Hulk, a Chavez, both of which would probably outpower the 31. But I think there's the Hulk coming in. And then Invited. Isn't Strong Guy better than Onslaught in this position? He is. Strong Guy is the one that I traditionally run in this list. So this list is very close to the Khazar Zoo style deck that I was running without Bar Sinister. The reason I have Onslaught in this one is Bar Sinister has some crazy interactions with, like interaction potential with a Nightcrawler, with a Khazar or Blue Marvel, and then an Onslaught. You can get some insane power push. Strong Guy is going to be more consistent. He's going to be much more consistent outside of the Bar Sinister location. I think with Bar Sinister, the regular Zoo gets kind of trumped because you're not going to be able to flood your hand and trigger Strong Guy nearly as often. But yes, in general, outside of the feature location, Strong Guy is going to be much better and much more consistent than our Onslaught. I played Odin into an empty Bar Sinister for the longest match I've ever played. It is one of those interactions. So it's right up there with Exodia. And then Jay Collins, what about putting Squirrel Girl in? So Squirrel Girl does have a spot here. I would honestly replace Hawkeye with Squirrel Girl, but on this account, I haven't unlocked it yet. I'm just waiting for a few more credits to push for those last few cards that we need. But I think Squirrel Girl is going to be a better card overall than Hawkeye. But with that said, and then Hamcat, why don't you use variants for your cards? I don't think I have any variants on this account. Actually, I have one that I can unlock from the season pass. But otherwise I do if I have them. Squirrel Girl does leave little space, and so it depends on what you're running. Sometimes it can end up clogging your board. If we're running like this really low style Zoo deck, it can be good. A lot of times I hold it till almost the end of the game, and same with Mr. Sinister, which sometimes I tech into the Zoo deck. Sometimes I hold it until the very end of the game. That way I can drop it for 1 space if I need, instead of dropping it for 3. But it's always there to push that 3 space if I need it to. And so I think we do the Hulkbuster here. I don't know. We have the big Blue Marvel play. Maybe we buff up our Hawkeye. We're gonna have 4 Blue Marvels. We could push 16 power into Bar Sinister. But I don't think Bar Sinister is traditionally the one that we have trouble winning. In Invited Scroll, you said last card I missed was Moon Girl, and I wanted to play Devil Dino. Oh, you accidentally entered pool 2. So I mean, there's good and bad with that. You do have the potential to unlock new cards now. It's just you're in like a new horizon. You have to. You're in that kind of experimental stage where you're just gonna have to. You're gonna try out a lot of cards, and you're gonna find new decks and new archetypes. It's just you're gonna be matching up against other people that have that extended library. So pool 2 is really fun. Once you get like your moon, or once you get like, I think it's Collector Agent 13, you can get a pretty strong and solid Devil Dino deck. Whenever you get a Sunspot and Infinite, those are good cards, and Storm is huge. Storm is huge for pool 2. And then Jay, you said you think I missed Matthias's Spectrum question. I think I did. Matthias, I'm trying your Khazar Zoo deck, and it's so good. I have a question: is not worth to change America Chavez as a 6 mana card to Spectrum to keep buffing? So for me in the Zoo deck, Spectrum is only going to buff a couple of your cards. If I was going to take America Chavez out, I would take it out for something that's really low curve. So I would take it out for maybe even another 1-cost card, so adding in Squirrel Girl or Electra. Because Spectrum in that list is only going to buff your Khazar or your Blue Marvel, so you don't get as much upside from it. Whereas the 1-cost card, you can make sure that you flood the board, it lowers your curve, and so you can make sure that you can strategically play around those cards' potentials. So we have the Blue Marvel, they have Khazar, but they can't move anything out. Our Blue Marvel is going to be a little bit better because it's more versatile, which is going to give us 6 power Blue Marvels versus their 4. We have Onslaught to be able to trigger the Ant-Man ability twice, so that's going to be a +6 power Ant-Man on top of the Blue Marvels. Just overall, we have... Oh, wait, this is the last turn. Never mind, we're not going to be able to do Onslaught, but I still think we're fine with the Blue Marvel play. Mustafa, how's it going? I hope you're having a great day so far. I'm so glad that you were able to jump in and join us. So let's go with the... Oh, we might not win with the Iron Man in the Atilan location. But with the rock over to the right-hand side, we might. It's a 4-power rock. It's a pretty strong rock. We might not. Oh, we should have played Blade. With it being the last turn, we should have pushed Blade either into the left or the right. Yeah. Yep, we should have. We absolutely should have. I think we could have overcame their power in either location. That's not great. I was still in the mindset that it was turn 5 and that we were going to have a turn 6 for Onslaught. And it was just one of those things that I overlooked, unfortunately. So we do have quite a few credits now. I think we could probably unlock and get up to Squirrel Girl. I think we do that maybe a little bit later. Let's run one more. We're going to try one more attempt at getting the really big, powerful play with the Nightcrawler, Blue Marvel, Onslaught interaction. If we're not able to get it at that point, I think I do need to jump back over into work mode. I've went a little bit over my normal stream time, and so after that point, we'll jump back over into work mode. But maybe we can get the upside. We do have the Nightcrawler, and we have Blue Marvel. And so now we just need Onslaught to make this absolutely insane. And so let's go ahead and push Nightcrawler here. We can split our Uatu over into this far right lane. And then we're just kind of sitting and hoping that we draw into our Onslaught. Our Onslaught's going to make this an absolute insane power. Get like 12 Uatu or something. So it's going to, if we get the Blue Marvel plus the 3 Onslaughts, it's going to be a lot of power. It's going to be a huge power lane. It's not going to be 2 billion. I want to snap, but at the same time, I just want to see. I want to see this play out. We know that we're going to be able to win this game as long as they don't have Enchantress for Bar Sinister. I think we're just going to play it. I think we're going to play it cool. We're not gonna push. We're not gonna snap. I want to see this one play out, but we should absolutely have this win. If they're running an Enchantress, maybe not. But otherwise, I think we have it in the bag. Oh, you're right. So turn 5, we're gonna have to play mid. Akshay, you're right. We don't got it. Oh no. I forgot that the Avengers compound was mid. That one is tough. Well, we don't have the 2 billion. Laser Gazer, but in general, would you advise to stay at your current pool collection level and bank a lot of credits? I think it's easier that way. So as soon as you tip into pool 2, you're going to match against all kinds of crazy cards and combos that you don't have access to. And so here's hoping for a magic. I know. Hopefully they shift this location for us. That is all that we can hope for, is like a Scarlet Witch. But I doubt that that's what they're gonna drop. No, it's an Electra. Unfortunately, we do have a single Blue Marvel and an Onslaught for somewhat okay of a power push. No, it's a turn too late. It's a turn too late for the Khazar too. So I think we play our Blue Marvel, and then maybe we do something weird with like a Khazar and then like a double blade or something like that. But Shadow Dragon, how do you stay in your current pool location so you don't accidentally enter pool 2? So as you get close to that next pool tier, so for pool 1 to pool 2, so just around 214, if you stay below that, then you'll stay in pool 1. And so don't upgrade any more cards at that point. Just start hoarding your credits until you get close to cap, or at least until you can get a decent way into pool 2. That way you start your pool 2 matches with a good deal of cards and combos, and you're not just going to be outpowered by jumping in and just going against Killmongers and all kinds of pool 2 plays. And so that would be probably the most ideal way to go about it if you're looking for like an easier play line. If you're just wanting to experience new cards and new combos, I say just progress as much as you could, or as much as you can. So if we do the Khazar, does that... 3 Khazars will push this lane to... It's going to add 12 more to this lane, so that's not enough. But 4 is going to add... No, it's going to add 9 more. It's going to add 9... Hold on. Math is tough. It's going to add 18. So I think we're okay. I think we're okay with this one. So this is going to add... Right now it's going to add 9, and then these other 3 is going to add another 9, so it's going to be another 18. So it's going to be like 20-something power here. It's going to be a decent power push here and here as well. This blade will be a decent power push. So I think we're okay. It's not the 2 billion play, unfortunately, but we're gonna give it a shot. If they have something like a Blue Marvel or something else in Bar Sinister, they may still be able to outpower us, but we're gonna give it a shot nonetheless. Laser Gazer, seriously do that. Don't mindlessly stumble into a new pool. Yeah. So I did that on my first free-to-play account. I accidentally just barely pushed over the pool 3 line, and then all of a sudden I'm playing against all of the pool 3 cards, and it's really, really difficult at that point. We win the Bar Sinister lane, right? It's 24 power. It's 24 power Blue Marvel lane. So we win that one by one. We win that one by one, so then we win Baxter Building. We just lose the Avengers Compound, which is okay. What a strange game. Invited, that's what you did today. You accidentally pushed into pool 3 or into pool 2? How bad are these as the first 3 cards from pool 2? Vision, Okoye, and Jubilee. Jubilee's decent, but she takes a little bit more support to make her viable. Okoye is pretty decent in like a lower tempo deck. And so you can drop her, and then everything else that you drop at that point has that extra value. And so if you drop her on 2, she is absolutely worth running. If you drop her or draw her into something later, it's not worth it at that point. And then Laser Gazer, how do you create new accounts? You can use multiple Google accounts. So the more Google accounts you have, the more I guess accounts you can create. And then Vision is just a good start. Is just a good card at the start. That's true. A flexible 7 power card is pretty flexible to have. I know I said one more last time, but we had a taste of almost having the combo, and then it doesn't look like we're gonna get it this time either, unfortunately. We can do Khazar. We'll be able to do maybe an Onslaught to buff up our 1 costs even further. But we'll see. And then Dry, hey, how's it going? I'm glad that, where's the cube count? I didn't add the cube count on this one, just because we shifted decks a couple of times, and it's on the free-to-play account. I think, honestly, we're probably just barely over positive. I started, I think, at 51, and we're still hovering around that range. We've had some ups and downs, some bad maths here and there, and then some good maths in other scenarios. But I think, for the most part, we're just about even. And then as far as how's everyone doing, I'm doing well. So far the day has been really well. The support for the channel the last couple of days has been insane. We've jumped almost 100 subs since I started streaming a couple hours ago, and so you guys are insane. I appreciate all of the support and all of you guys for being here, and I hope that you enjoy the content. I hope that it's helpful, and I hope that it helps you guys progress your account further and faster. And then as we transition into pool 2, I'll do some of those guides as well. And then of course I already have some pool 3 stuff, but that will be the focus, is kind of transitioning with the players that weren't able to play at the start of the beta, at the start of the beta, so that they're kind of coming in fresh. That way it helps you guys get a jump on the game and figuring out what's going on. So we're going to go ahead and play our Onslaught. We do have a Blade we can drop next turn. We have our Hulkbuster. If we drop Onslaught this turn, if we draw into Blue Marvel, we can do both Blue Marvel and Blade. We can actually move Nightcrawler out and do the Blue Marvel here. But I don't know. I don't know that it's going to be enough reach without having Bar Sinister. This deck really propels well with Bar Sinister. Without it, I think it may be a little bit lackluster. And then Stashinio, you said currently on vacation. Can't miss a TLSG stream. I appreciate it. I appreciate you you being here and just supporting the content and the channel. You are an absolute legend. Let's go ahead and I think we play Blade over here. We can do an Ant-Man. Maybe we just throw Hulkbuster by himself into the Gia. I think with Ant-Man here, that's going to give us there's no doubt that we should win the Titan location. The only question becomes either Necrosha or the Gia. But I think we're willing to gamble on them pushing power into one, but not both. So Shadow Dragon, only reason I started playing is because I saw an ad with Ben Brode in it. Used to play Hearthstone back when he was still with Blizzard and had to try his new game. Ben is so charismatic that like whenever you see him excited about something, you're excited about something. And so I always love to see like, you know, his kind of update videos on the new seasons and things like that, because it's just always so energetic, and he's like, I don't know, he's charismatic. And yeah, I watched the same thing. I saw a teaser trailer when it first like got teased into beta, and from there I was hooked. I watched the first live stream that they did, and it it was a downward spiral from there. I got into the beta and I have not stopped. Yeah, Jordan True. That's the video that I saw. I think it was from Zeddy. It was titled "Is this the Hearthstone Killer?" And I was like, well, I gotta find out if this is gonna be the Hearthstone Killer. Turns out, who knows? But it is a good game, and I'm glad that I stumbled upon that video and that led me down this path to finding the game. Jay, you said trying a new destroy build with those two. Deck building is so hard. With which two? Killmonger is a beast. I unlocked him in Sabretooth. Sabretooth is a tough one because at 3 cost, it's really hard to make him get use of him consistently. So even in my in-game builds, I kind of shy away from Sabretooth a lot of times. But Killmonger is an absolute monster. Ooh, so Los Diablo Space after turn 3. Might destroy Bar Sinister. We could go with moving our Nightcrawlers out, dropping Hulkbuster to merge with the Nightcrawler and generate more Nightcrawlers, and then we don't have to worry about the rest of the game. Just kind of coast. We're gonna do that. We're gonna hope that no, that takes up too much space. Never mind. We're gonna play it safe. Just in case Los Diablo Space does not kill Bar Sinister, I want to have I want to have the room to move our Nightcrawlers out. You said you used Bar Sinister to buff up my Kraven. It's a beautiful combo. Yeah, to be able to move those cards out easily is really fun. It's this location, it just has so many crazy interactions and quirks and mechanics that I found it really fun, especially in pool 1. Pool 3, it gets really nutty really fast. You have debris, you have all kinds of craziness all over the place that makes it hard to consistently run your cards. So debris will clog up the rest of the board for that game. A goblin will send over into your lane, so you have to like really counter card or counter build to those potential game-winning plays. But then at the same time, you may not draw into Bar Sinister as a location, and at that point your deck is built around that one location that occurs in only 40% of games, and so 6 out of 10 times you're not going to see it. And so it's one of those that I don't know, it's hard for me to justify building around it specifically instead of just doing a couple of counter cards in it, especially in pool 3, but it gets really crazy really fast there. You said, Alejandro said, so how does entering a new pool work? Can I safely level 214? I would stay around the 212 range, 212, 213. I think once you peek into that like either first card pool for that new pool, I think at that point it's kind of like the final straw. It's like that last straw, that last path. And at that point, I think it's the point of no return. I just lost a game to a 620 per lane Venom Zola combo. Pool 3 is something else, Project Purple. Pool 3 with this location is scary. It is a scary thing. And I haven't been able to find one that just feels phenomenal to run. It just, oh, yeah, it's absolutely terrifying. It's crazy, and it's entertaining for maybe one day. I think after that, it may get to where it's a little bit old. So I think we retreat out of this one. They have a secondary Iron Man. We didn't draw into any of our buff cards, unfortunately. None of our buff cards. We didn't have Strong Guy, which would have been the Onslaught replacement. So definitely in games that do not have Bar Sinister, I would recommend running Strong Guy instead of Onslaught. He's just a more consistent power presence on the board, rather than hoping that you draw into your ongoing abilities and then being able to stack onto those as well. Was their name Dad Purple Project Onyx? Did you just pull off a 620 Venom? If so, you are a madman. Let's go ahead and play Hawkeye onto the board. We're gonna hope that one of these is Bar Sinister. We'll hold our Nightcrawler until we know what all of the locations are. We do lose our Blue Marvel from the Yondu. We still have Khazar, so that's still a possibility. If we don't get it this time, guys, I do have to jump over into work mode. Okay, so it's the sewer system. We're not gonna get it this time, but we are going to finish this one out, and see if we can win against trolls before closing out the stream. And just as a last plug, I'm really bad about reminding myself to like my own stream. But if you guys are enjoying the content and you are enjoying the stream and you want to see more of them, make sure that you like the stream. It helps the algorithm out. It helps it reach a wider audience so that they can enjoy as well. And then Laser Gazer, why does Onslaught go to the Bar Sinister? So Onslaught himself, if that's the only card you drop there, he's not great with Bar Sinister. Where his power comes in is from Nightcrawler. So you can drop Nightcrawlers as your first drop into Bar Sinister. That will duplicate. You'll have 4 Nightcrawlers. You can move one out and drop either a Khazar or a Blue Marvel. And then the other 3 Nightcrawlers will still be in that lane. So that will be the only other card there. And then on that following turn, or the final turn, you can move the other 3 Nightcrawlers out. You can drop your Onslaught there, which will multiply 3 times. And right now, Onslaught's doubling effect is multiplicative. It's not additive. And so instead of like doubling 3 times, instead of doubling it 6 times, it's doubling the doubling. It gets really insane really fast. It's something like 3,000 power that it pushes onto the board. It's really funny it's a really funny interaction whenever it does work. You're gonna steal that. Yeah, so if you aren't like hard pressing for climbing for cubes, it's definitely a fun one that you should try out, that you should check out. It's one that when it works, it is so very satisfying, but when it doesn't, your deck doesn't feel as great. But the rest of the time, if you can pull it off, it's one of those really feel good moments, and it's really hard to find those in pool 1 to where you can like offer that much power presence on the board. Yep, Shadow Dragon. So instead of multiplying by 6, it cubes it. So it's I know for 2 of them, it's like times 8 or times 16. So this cubes that, so it's like 64 times or something like that. Yeah, because I think 3 times might be 256 times. It's something really nutty. So 2 times I think is 16, and then to 256 after that. It gets out of hand very, very quickly. Yeah, 2 is 16. I think 3 was the 256, which is where the Exodia combo came from. If you guys haven't seen footage on the Exodia combo in Marvel Snap, it's absolutely insane when it happens. It is a 10-minute ordeal from all of the like on reveal effects triggering, but it's fun whenever you see it. So if we do Onslaught here, that's going to push. Actually, it's only going to push this up by 1 more. It gives us somewhat of a power push here, but it doesn't give us a win condition in this lane. What if we move our Nightcrawler over? That's going to be a 2 power, but it's going to get buffed up to 3. So it's going to be a 6 power push here. So we would at least tie this lane for now. I think this is what we're going to try. It's not a great finish. Jay, I should have paid more attention in math class. This game makes me work my my math skills, or try to work my imaginary math skills. It doesn't always work out, but it definitely makes you really think through those potential power pushes. 2 is doing 4 squared, 3 is probably doing 8 cubed. Yeah, Terry Henderson. It's some kind of interaction like that. And they did say that they're working on fixing that. They're going to switch it back to additive instead of multiplicative, so it should get back within reason. We just don't know whenever that update will push. And so I would say enjoy it while you can. But I am going to go ahead and we're going to jump back over into work mode. We didn't have an overly positive stream. I think we ended like 5 positive. Thank you, Alejandro. Thank you, Hyperion. Emilio, I don't think I called you out. Mothful, Mustafa, I think I did call you out. TZVI and Dennis. And then Place Senhof. Thank you guys for the subs. I appreciate it. I appreciate all of the support that you guys have been giving me lately. It's phenomenal. I'm so glad that you are enjoying the pool 1 type builds. And on our way out, we're gonna go ahead and pull the mystery variant that we got from the free piece of the season pass. And so we do get Bishop. We don't use Bishop all that often, but it is okay to have nonetheless. Alejandro, does Miles count as a pool 1? He technically is a pool 3, and so if you don't buy him from the season pass, 2 months down the line, you'll be able to unlock him from pool 3 naturally. And so technically he's pool 3. Casual best Bishop variant pool. Is that the best one? Is that the one that you like the most of Bishop's variant? It's not bad. It's not bad. And then Place Senhof, before I close out, any deck for rushing rank 100, I would say Khazar Zoo, as long as you're still in pool 1. If you creep into pool 2, you start having to worry about Killmongers, and then it becomes much less consistent. But while you're in pool 1, I would say push Khazar Zoo as much as you can. You're not going to win against the high rolls from some of the other decks, but you will be able to consistently push a consistent amount of power that will win you the majority of games. But anyways, guys, I appreciate it. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. I will be back tomorrow with another video and another lunch live stream. So if you guys enjoy it, make sure that you're subscribed and that you stick around. I hope that you have a great rest of your day. As always, this has been TLSG. Later, guys.